serve the members of the Republican Assembly. Now that is a big difference than what you normally see in politics. When you look at politics in Georgia nationally, and you're going to hear it here in coming all over the next few weeks, you're going to hear very big numbers. You're going to hear numbers of millions of dollars raised and spent in a primary. Well, first in the special election, then the primary, and then in the general election. The reason you need to think about that is there is an industry that exists. It's a political industry. And it's good and it's bad. It's good in that it gets the word out about candidates. It's bad in the extent that that money influences the way that people think. When you look at ads on TV, it's influencing the way people think. When you hear some political expert or consultant on Fox News or OAN, or if you watch the liberal stations, they're making money off of politics. What they are doing is they are mercenaries, working for whoever is paying them. That is something that all of us can relate to when we have jobs. But that is why it is important that you are here. Because you, as Republican Assembly members, are the leaders of the Republican Assembly, who you choose to endorse today and vote to endorse, if anyone is endorsed, influences what everyone else does. Like if you vote to endorse someone today with over a 2/3 vote, that means that myself and everyone on the Georgia Republican Assembly board has to support that candidate. If we don't, we are thrown out of the assembly if we endorse anyone else or support anyone else. So you are controlling the organization. You are controlling its leaders. So what you are here doing today is very, very important. And it is awesome that all of the candidates who chose to show up today are here working to earn the Republican Assembly endorsement. Because it shows that they care about you by being here. They care about getting your vote, getting your support, and letting you know why they think that they are the best candidate that reflects the Republican Assembly principles that are on our website and held nationally. Because if you choose to endorse today, that is what the support they are getting is. They're getting the support from the state assembly and all of the members and that endorsement. So please today, when listening to the candidates speak, make sure to have an open mind, listen to their answers, listen to their speeches, do research, look at voting records, look at what they've done when choosing whether or not to endorse. And when it comes down to it, if you think someone reflects the principles, make sure to vote to endorse them. If you don't think they reflect the principles, then choose no endorsement. That is on you, because you are leading the assembly. There are a lot of people who try to act like the Republican Assembly is somehow not representative of the people. Those are usually the people in the political industry. They don't like competition. They don't like knowing that unpaid people, like yourselves, are controlling who is being endorsed, who the best candidates are. So today, that is what we're here to do, is to make that endorsement happen. I encourage all of you moving forward in sort of a way of helping out the assembly to pay back and make sure that the organization is reflecting the will of the people. Recruit more members. We are one of the largest Republican assemblies in the nation, but we still need more members. Turn to your neighbors, your friends, the people at church. Don't be ashamed to let people know that you are part of this movement, because we are trying to make politics better. We are improving the political culture in this state. We're fighting the corrupt side of the political industry that lies to people. So wear your name badges, your GRA name badges. Get a new one if you lost it. Recruit your members, recruit your church friends, recruit people from your office. Get them involved, because they deserve to have a voice too against this very, very rich political industry that you will be seeing for the next months. So with that, thank you all, and we are going to move on to an introduction by a welcome by our local chapter president from the Floyd area, Angela Rubino, who helped us get this amazing venue. So Angela, come on up.
Thank you. Wow. So welcome to Floyd. I kind of wrote something down real quick. I don't do well off the cusp. But I do want to thank everybody who came and pulled this together. I think it looks great. I thank the candidates for being here, and most of all, the members for being here. We have an important vote today. That's really all I got to say. Hopefully, we're doing good with time. But I do want to explain when it's time for lunch. I would like to start with the candidates, if they did purchase a meal, which I think they did. You're gonna come down these tables and go towards the back, and Melissa and Diane will be back there, and she'll hand you your lunch, and then you come right back around and sit down and enjoy your meal and hear whatever else that we got. So thank you again, and vote good.
All right, thank you all. Well, with that, I believe, according to the agenda, we're going to start off so there's going to be a candidate for it. But before people are up here being grilled and questioned and being put through it, remember also, all of you are going to be able to submit questions to be asked. So think about any questions you may want to ask candidates. Please don't try any specific gotcha questions targeted at people, because I will filter that into a generally applicable question. So please make that easy. But think of other questions you have. But I believe we're starting off with a break for lunch. So,
Candidates first. Candidates first.
Candidates first, because they're going to be up there answering questions. Once you get your food, go back and have a seat, because we're going to be efficient with your time. We're going to be having a forum while lunch is going on. So that's why we're having the candidates eat first. So if the candidates who have purchased lunch could please get lunch, I will. Where am I directing them to, so I can point?
There's only one restaurant here. You come in, you need to.
Yeah, so Angela's going to help me out with this.
Get in there quickly.
Okay, so the food's not here yet. So let's hold off on that. Are we gonna let the candidates speak some first? Is that the plan?
We could do that. We could do opening statements.
Do opening statements while we set everything up, right? So we'll hear from the candidates first. Then when it is time, you're gonna get up, come down this way, go to the windows, make a left. There's a table set up, and we'll hand everything out.
All right. Well,
Question.
yes.
We have various documents called the UN withdrawal pledge. We have one for each of the candidates. If they haven't had an opportunity to sign one of these, please let us know and we'll come by and see if you want to sign one.
All right, so just so everyone knows, Mr. Parks just mentioned something about a UN withdrawal plan. He probably will ask a question about it or want one submitted during the debate. So he just said if any candidates here is interested in that, to speak with him, and he will get you a copy of that to review. Yes.
If you have a question that you want to submit to a candidate, we have index cards. And we have sergeant at arms that are going to be able to hand those cards out. You turn those cards into the sergeant at arms. The sergeant at arms will then relay them to Alex. So please, if you have a question that's burning on your mind, go talk to one of our folks at the registration table or talk to one of our sergeant at arms to get that index card and turn it in, please. Thank you.
Next, so just so you all know how the debate's going to go, since the food is not here yet for lunch, the way this will go is it's going to start off with opening statements from each of the candidates in attendance, and it will be 2 minutes each for them. Then I will ask some questions, if there are any that are on my mind, that will be 1 minute answers for each. And then you should all be submitting questions through those index cards that Nathaniel just mentioned to the Sergeant at Arms. So the Sergeant at Arms, please wave their hand in the air right now. Sergeant at Arms, yes, Roy's here, back there. So you'll see them. I'll call them up during the debate. They will collect the index cards and bring them to me. And then I will ask the questions to the candidates as they are appropriate. And then there will be closing statements for the candidates at 2 minutes each. And then after that, there'll be a 5-minute recess, and then we will have convention business, specifically we'll have a credentials report come in, approval of an agenda, adoption of rules, and then the business portion will happen. So it will be held according to GRA bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order. So that will be the path of that. So if the food is still not here, we can start with just some 2-minute speeches by the candidates to keep time rolling on that. Was there a order agreed to ahead of time? No order ahead of time. So would someone like to volunteer to speak? Candidates, if you come up, have a seat, and I guess I'll just hand it first to whoever sits closest to me, and then pass the mic down. All right. Anybody?
Point of information,
Yes, sir.
just to let the candidates know, I'm going to be keeping time. I'll raise this up when your time is up.
All right, yes. Christine, Chair of the COG will be keeping time, and I'll keep time as well. So with that, you go first. Yeah, you sat closest, so you use that microphone, right? Oh, yeah, you can use the podium, sure. All right.
All right, well, good morning. My name is Tom Gray, and I'm running for the 14th Congressional District seat because our nation is at a crossroads. Really, we're at a crisis of identity, a crisis of our soul. We are on the brink of losing our soul as a nation. If we lose our soul, we lose our future. I'm running because I understand very clearly that the battle, though it is fought out on many fronts, including the political front, that the battle is primarily spiritual. You know, we have a unique history. I love that we sang the 4th verse of our national anthem. That highlights the distinctive nature of our unique history. 55 out of our 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were God-honoring, Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. I understand that the path forward, if we're going to reclaim the soul of our nation, is a fresh and disciplined approach of the exact same principles that those brave founding fathers put into practice and gave their lives for. To establish this unique nation, there's never been one like it before or since, and it's been given to us, and we have a stewardship over what we will do with it going forward. You know, there's a Bible verse that says, and it warns against moving the ancient boundaries. Well, there's a battle to radically alter the foundations, not just the boundaries. We also know that our history is unique as a country because it features at critical crossroad kinds of moments clergy statesmen who have stepped forward. We're reminded of the Black Robe Regiment going all the way back to the Revolutionary War. In fact, Reverend Muhlenberg in January of 1776 in Woodstock, Virginia, stands up and preaches out of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 to his congregation. When it's over, he takes his robe off, revealing his military uniform on, and he assembles a 300-person militia to go fight. Well, I believe it's time for a clergy statesman to rise again. My name is Tom Gray, and I'd love your support for the 14th seat in our United States Congress. Thank you very much.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Colton Moore. I've served as your state senator in Northwest Georgia for the past 2 terms, and I have the highest GRA rating of any other legislator in the Georgia Senate. Like Mr. Gray, I recognize that it is a good and evil battle, and right now the globalists are on the evil side, and they're winning. Now, all of these candidates here today can probably tell you that they want to fight against those globalists. But who's willing to enter into the fight and risk it all? And that's what I've done since I've been in the legislature. The first senator to be unconstitutionally arrested for defending the freedoms of people of Northwest Georgia. I want to take those same fights that we had in the Georgia General Assembly and bring them to Washington. Fortunately, the 14th District is one of the most conservative places in the entire country. And I don't want to see that district filled by what we call a rhino. I want to make sure that we fill that seat with someone who's going to uphold the Republican principles, primarily the principles of the Georgia Republican Assembly, for they are the foundation of what the principles of the party actually are. I'm going to need your help. I would certainly appreciate your vote of endorsement today. And you can also find out more information about me at coltonmoore.com. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to see a good crowd here. Give us a chance to introduce ourselves and talk to everybody. I'm James Marty Brown. I go by Marty, which obviously I can't sing very well, and I dig sure don't dance, so I don't want to have any disgrace to the legend, Mr. James Brown. So I go by Marty. I don't know if any of you looked at my pages or anything. I'm a retired firefighter. I served the people of Northwest Georgia for 34 years as a firefighter. I started off as a volunteer back in 1991. And while I was still working a full-time job, I transitioned into full-time fire department in 2005, went and got my paramedics license, and have been serving the Northwest Georgia community ever since. I worked, retired from Smyrna Fire Department, where I was for 20 years, before I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Cancer diagnosis ended my public safety career, and I've been a public servant my whole life. And I battled the cancer and went through it, and blessed the Lord, I'm blessed to be healed now and clear. I'm missing a few body parts, but I'm still kicking. I can't play fireman anymore, but I can be a politician. Well, I'm not a politician, I'm just a country boy. But I jumped in this because I looked at what's going on in the world and how things are going, and people with the establishment doing what they want, trying to line their own pockets, and doing what people give them money tell them to do. And I'm doing all this, and the biggest donation I've had, $500 to my campaign, and that was from a guy I've known for 30 years. So it's definitely what people call grassroots. But like I said, I've been serving the communities for 34 years as a firefighter and paramedic. I've been out. I've seen a lot of what goes on in government, in small government, the corruption with city councils and different board members and stuff like that. And it's the same all the way to the top. When you get into the state house and then even the Congress and the Senate and everything else, it's a buddy system and who's getting paid. So, we're getting into this, and I'm learning the whole political thing. But take a look at my website, brown.ga.com. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna take the microphone this way because I figure this is probably why you're sitting on a line. My name is Jenna Turnipseed. So a little bit about me is that I am a budget geek. So that is the primary reason that I am running. I am running because of the budget. I am running for deregulation, and I am running for education. I am currently a JROTC instructor in Northwest Georgia. I coach the high school rifle team. I am a mother of 4, and I'm a retired military officer. For the last 10 years of my military career, everything that I did revolved around the budget, logistics, and Army modernization. And I have seen over and over again what the hurdles cause that cause us to have waste and delay our ability
Good morning, y'all. I want to thank you guys for inviting me to this event. My name is Christian Hurd. I'm from up in Dalton, Georgia. And my background is I married this sweet little girl over here. She's my high school sweetheart. I have a 1-year-old baby girl. And I just got out of the Marine Corps. I'm a conservative because I believe the folks that came before us, the traditions they gave us, the lessons they gave us, we can't just throw them away. Our enemy wants to take that, throw it away, and go back to the drawing board. I'm not on board with that. I think it's time to throw out the old guard and have one of those bold conservatives continue serving in this seat. I love my home. I love our region. I've lived here my entire life. My people have been here for 300 years. These problems are existential. Our enemy is working night and day to destroy us at home and abroad. I'm in this race because it's time to put American citizens first. I am radicalized to destroy this bureaucracy that has put its heel down on our American citizens. I'm in this race because it is time that American citizens feel like our government workforce again. I believe the foremost economic priority of the Republican Party should be that every American family should only have to have one income to support that family. I believe that we should destroy every force in this nation that wants to hurt the nuclear family. That's the basis of all American power. And I think it's time that we reorient American foreign policy to work on behalf of American citizens. It's very clear in the last few decades they're not working on our behalf. We have to renegotiate our defense deals. We have to put you, the American citizen, and the American taxpayer at the forefront of every decision we do. My name is Christian Hurd. It's an honor to be invited to this event. I look forward to meeting with you. And I know there's a lot of people here who have made up their mind. I hope to earn your respect. And if I cannot be your first choice, it would be an honor to be your second choice. Thank you again. Good morning.
My name is Clay Fuller. I'm asking for your vote and support today because I believe we need a warrior for Northwest Georgia to have President Trump's back on Capitol Hill. And this is why I'm that warrior and why I'm asking for your vote and support. On my sign, you will see three things: faith, duty, and America first. Faith, I'm a Christian conservative. I'm 100% pro-life. And my story begins at Walter Reed when I was right now already diagnosed with cancer. Anybody who's ever faced that diagnosis and asked the question to a doctor, do I have another day on this planet? You start praying and talking to God and asking, if you give me more time, I want to come back to North Georgia and make a difference and be a warrior for this place. That duty aspect, I'm a military veteran, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Georgia Air National Guard, but I'm also the elected district attorney for the Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit. You asked Charles Stoker, who's been on my jury, what kind of warrior I am for our community in the courtroom, putting murderers, rapists, child molesters away for the rest of their life. Read my press releases, please. America First, I tell people that my life story is America First. I was a Trump appointee in the first administration, moved my family up to D.C. to work for President Trump because I believed in what he said in the American Party's speech, his first inaugural address. I'm going to protect our Second Amendment rights. I'm going to secure the border because I know that saves lives each and every day in our community with the fentanyl overdoses that we're seeing. And we're going to get rid of all those illegal immigrants who are spending $8 billion of our money in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're going to get them out of here. That is my focus. That is why I'm an American First supporter of President Trump. And that is why I'm asking each and every one of you for your support and vote in this process. Because we need an America First warrior from Northwest Georgia to have President Trump's back. My name is Clay Fuller, and I'm asking for your support. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Star Black, and I'm actually the only candidate in this race that's been running since June. I have been concerned about this district a long time ago. And I am also the only candidate in this race that has federal experience. I retired from FEMA after 28 years. When I show up, it's people's first day. But people came to me when they didn't know where to go, where to find those resources. And I have worked with almost every single federal agency, and I know their process. And I know the way to get that information to the right people so that those problems are solved before I leave. I'm not only a fighter, I'm a bulldog, because once I clamp onto something, I'm not going to let it go until you get your answer. And the other thing that I am looking at is I do truly believe in term limits. We should not have people up there in Washington getting rich and being able to buy and sell stock while they're an elected official. You don't have that information, why should they be able to use it? We've put people in prison for that before. So those are very important, and I'm going to talk about one other thing that no one else is talking about, and that's caregivers. How many of you are caregivers? How many of you know a caregiver? How many of you are probably thinking, I need a caregiver? Okay. Caregivers, there's 1 in 4 in our nation, and that is an overlooked, because I was a caregiver for my husband and my mother while I was working disasters. Because I was raised, that's what you do. You take care of your family no matter what. And I took care of my family, but I knew I needed help and I didn't know where to find it. We need to consolidate all those resources into one place so that as a caregiver, you can find the information. You can find where all these agencies are. And you will be able to have the time to spend with your family. So I look forward to talking to you more. Again, I'm Star Block, and I would love your road. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm a podium guy, so I'm going to go over here real quick just for a second. My name is Eric Cunningham, and the first thing I want to do is just go ahead and address the question that was stated earlier about the UN. UN is a waste of time, a waste of our money. Anything that's sucking up our time, our money for climate control, the Green New Deal type stuff, we need to move on from. I support coal, I support nuclear energy, so I hope that answers your question why I stand on the UN. But again, my name is Eric Cunningham. I am a husband, a father, a Christian. My wife Deanna and I have been married 32 years. I have 3 kids. I have 4 kids. One, my son, passed away shortly after birth. But I have 3 kids. One, a graduate from the University of Georgia. Middle son who chose not to go to college. And then my daughter, who is just recently graduated from the University of Florida in 3 years. And she worked 2 to 3 jobs at a time, just like her dad, who had to pay his way through college. I didn't have an option. My dad said, "You're going to college. I'm not paying for it. Figure it out." I went to college, got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree. I've worked hard my whole life to get to this point right here. I want to work that hard for this district. I just feel like I feel compelled to make a contribution to you all, to this district, to serve this district with dignity. And I'm really focused on things like veterans. I really want to help the veterans. Obviously, well, I didn't say this, but I've worked in the rail industry my whole career. So Class 1 industry, CSX Railroad, rose through the ranks in leadership there. I'm now in what we call the shoreline industry. And I help in economic development projects on the railroads where we're located. So I work with local, state, federal folks to help create new jobs and bring business to their district. So that's what I want to do for us. I want to help the veterans, but I also want to focus on our Gen Z population. 56% of Gen Zs identify as independents. Same with millennials, 54% identify as independents. Overall, 46 people identify as independents. Do we not want their votes because we're going to need them? I just ask you to vote for Eric Cunningham for Congress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. I'm not a podium guy. I'm a trial attorney. My name is Jared Craig, and I'm running for Georgia's 14th District for many reasons. I'm a lifelong Georgia resident. My family's been here in the cattle industry for many, many generations. My family's been in the United States since the 1600s. But regardless of that, I have been in this state and advocated as an attorney representing individual rights through family law, criminal defense, small businesses. I'm not working for the state. I'm not working for large corporations. I'm not working for foreign interests. I represent individuals. And in doing so, I fight for your constitutional rights. What y'all need as a representative is someone who's qualified, that knows what they're doing, knows the difference between state and federal issues. Some of the other candidates have great experience at the state level. Some of them have great experience at the executive branch level, at the state or federal levels. But the role of a U.S. congressman is not that of a state congressman or a state senator or an executive administrative office holder. It's different, and you have to know the difference of what the job is or the job won't get done. In the past few years, I've run for Congress in the past. I ran for the 3rd District in 2022, and I was honored to be endorsed by the GRA. It was an overwhelming vote for me in that. So I believe that I've established with the GRA that I have the principles, the beliefs, and the ethics that support the GRA endorsement today. On my political activism, even though I didn't win in 2022, I joined with the group of Veterans for Trump and Veterans for America First, and I've been going all over the country helping candidates who are first responders, veterans, or America First interest candidates who are going to vote for veterans issues, vote for first responders issues, or support the America First agenda. I know what the America First agenda is because I've been part of it from the very beginning. I am Jared Craig. My website is jared4georgia.com, and you deserve the most qualified candidate to represent you in DC. I'm willing to do the work that I'm already doing, but now for you. Thank you. I'll go on further if you let me.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for your introductory speeches. So now we're going to have the candidates go, the ones that bought lunch anyway, to go to the back of the room, make a left, and go get lunch. And then everyone else will follow and get lunch. And then we will come back up as soon as possible to move into questions for the candidates. So candidates, please go get lunch. So go now before a mob stops your meal to eat. All right, everyone, if the candidates could please come back up and take your seats, we will get on with the question portion of the agenda. Everyone, please also take your seats so you can be listening to the candidates' answers. Again, I'm hoping everyone here is keeping an open mind and will be open to hearing these answers. I believe the microphone, let me move this up. So you testify. Let's see. So due to the number of audience questions, just so you all know, I may read off the number of these questions verbatim and then follow up with like an actual directed question, just so that if you ask something very pointed, at least the candidates know and have a chance to answer that in case it influences your vote. So here's the microphone, it's live right now. So I'm going to start, well, once all the candidates get up here, I'll start with the questions. I believe there's two more. I will say with the number of candidates running for the district, I only really know who's missing by the empty seat. So that's on me. I'm from DeKalb County, and I'm not from the district. I don't get to vote on who's endorsed. So if you think I'm biased, it doesn't really matter because I don't get to vote. So only those in the district get to vote that are GRA members. So I see that the seats are all filled. So I'm going to start off with maybe one of the harder questions to answer, and then hopefully it'll just get easier for people, maybe not. But this is just for my mind. Yes. Go ahead.
Have you informed them of the time for this particular?
Yes. You get a maximum of 1 minute to answer a question. Now, I will ask a few questions that may be yes or no questions or just multiple choice. Just raise your hand. I will give you an opportunity if someone needs to explain their answer for some reason. Like if you're the only one raising your hand for something, you will give an opportunity to explain that. So don't feel shy about answering honestly for everyone. And as you know, it's being recorded. We have a live feed going. We also have something that'll be public. So just so you all know, like there's nothing will be secret from today. So you don't really need to go after your opponents necessarily, because it's all going to be recorded anyway. So with that, 1 minute each answer, maximum. If you're quicker, it's better. We are on a somewhat tight time deadline. So with that, here's a starting question. As many of the people in the audience likely know, when you're in Congress, there's a lot of pressure from so-called leadership. I say so-called because I find it personally somewhat cowardly. But you may have the Speaker of the House or whips telling you need to vote this way, and if you don't, we're going to punish you, primary you, take away committee chairmanship, whatever else. So with that type of background, how do each of you foresee your relationship being with so-called leadership of the House or of anyone else in the Washington establishment versus your relationship with the citizens back home. So, please.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't know that there's any better preparation for the exact dynamic that you described than being a pastor of a church. You talk about having to understand who you are, what you believe, and why you believe it, and stick to it in the universe of pressures and opinions and criticisms. That's my life. That is my life. And so this is the life I've lived. There's a second aspect to it, however, as well, and that is to send an effective representative from the 14th district, you also need to know how to navigate in essence, a team environment. And my background is as a football player, and I played in the SEC. I coached football before God called me into ministry. I know how to build coalitions. I know how to win people over. I know how to, as a pastor, my job is converting. It's God's job. God does the converting. But this is the whole approach. And so there's an approach to not just succumb to the pressure, but to take the principles and win people to that side in building meaningful movements for impact. So I believe I'm super well equipped for that.
When a team works together, everything's merry. All right? On Tuesday, the Georgia Senate passed one of the biggest gun bills in our state's history. And that was thanks to the President of the Senate, it was thanks to the Majority Leader, it was thanks to leadership. But there are times when leadership is not on the same side as the people of Northwest Georgia. And I saw that in my Senate career when I was leading the charge against corrupt District Attorney Fonnie Willis after she arrested President Trump and 18 others, and that caucus voted me out, and they ostracized me. But where is the priority? The priority is always with the people that you represent, and it's not with leadership.
Yep.
Now, you want to talk about pressure and big pressure and having different influences? As you heard a while ago, I worked in emergency services for 34 years. I've been out on the streets by myself with my crew that work for me, making life or death decisions for the people of Northwest Georgia. And that is a leadership role that you cannot understand the pressure of unless you've been there. I have a very broad view. We have a term what you call tunnel vision in emergency services. Now, the military, I'm sure some of the military people can probably tune into the same thing, is you can't focus on one thing like cat playing with the shiny toy or the feather on the tree. You do that, people die. You have to back up, you have to look at the big picture of everything going in. So when you're doing legislature, working on the bill and working as a team, you can't focus on the shiny object per se. You have to back up and look at the whole picture and make your own decision and fight for your own decision and stand your ground. And that's what I've done for the last 34 years, and it's what I'll do in Congress. Thank you.
So I'm going to start with answering the end of that question. He asked, how do you feel that relationship works with your district? And I think it is very cemented in the title, right? Our job is to represent our district. And I will never vote against my district to side with leadership, regardless of what the threat is. And I will never leave, and I will never give up that fight. I have spent 22 years in the military, largely in places like DOD and the Special Operations Community. I have had to fight with people that outrank me on numerous occasions to protect my soldiers, and I'm not scared of it.
This is a great question, and I'll get everywhere to go. I am asking you to send me to be a representative of Congress, which is a co-equal branch of government with the legislative, or with the executive branch, the judicial branch. I only have one boss. That boss is 800,000 people in our district. I'm a Marine. If you know anything about us, and a lot of these other folks, we've got a backbone. Nobody's going to twist me anyway. I can say that for the fact that if I lose this job, I'm good financially. I'm good with my career. I don't depend on this to pay the bills. I'm doing this because I love our country. And I'm doing this because we need a good representative. So to anybody that wants to twist my hand, the answer is no. I don't think our president would ever do that. But in that situation, I want you to understand I'm going to come down on your side.
When I
first introduced myself, I said I was going to be a warrior from Northwest Georgia. This is exactly what I mean. You need a warrior from Northwest Georgia to stand for the will of the people. When you are the elected district attorney, you are the people's representative in a courtroom, standing against the worst criminals in our community, making sure that they're held accountable. When I go to Washington, I will reflect the will of the people here in Northwest Georgia and fight for that only. And we can talk about the philosophical idea about this from Edmund Burke on through. I love talking those kinds of things. But the one thing that I want each and every one of you to take away, when you think about Clay Fuller, think about a warrior for Northwest Georgia. That's this job, that's the only mission, that's the only duty. Thank you.
I am your voice, and I will never compromise my core principles and your core principles. If it's good for the 14th district, then I'm in it. If it's not, I don't care what kind of pressure. Trust me, with FEMA, we get lots of pressure. And I will never compromise, regardless of who comes in and tries to get me to do one thing or another. If it's in your best interest, then that's where I'm going. Because I will be your representative. I listen a lot more than I talk. So I will listen to you and do your core principles. So, pressure or not, I gotcha.
Good Cunningham. You know, this questions you ask is a good question. It makes me think, I think of my career as I came up through the railroad at CSX. And I worked my way up through that railroad in leadership roles for two things, and these are the two things that I always heard about myself. He's an action figure. He's difficult to manage sometimes. So, and folks liked that. They liked the fact that I was an action figure and going to getting things done, and I looked out for our constituents, which were our customers and the communities that we served. But sometimes I didn't agree with the leadership and the things that we needed to do or they thought we needed to do, and that's why they thought I was difficult. But I always stuck to my guns and what I believed. And I think that's what I would do in this situation, you know, in Congress. I'm going to stick to my guns. I think conviction is made up of two things, heart and passion. A lot of politicians, a lot of folks that say they're not politicians, whatever, they're going to stand up and answer a question like this and say, of course, I'm going to stand up to leadership. Of course, I'm going to support the district. But listen to their heart, listen to their passion to know if they got the conviction to do it. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm Jerry Craig. But to first answer the question posed is, how are we going to resist the pressure to change our principles, our philosophies, our beliefs? And I'll tell you, that's my brand. If you follow me online for any amount of years, I've been consistent, I've been abrasive, and I've been straightforward. If you have a question, I'll not only tell you the answer, but all of the factual basis, the constitutional analysis, and why my response is grounded in logic and analysis. Now, I have been tested because I've handled, on the sidelines, hundreds of campaigns every cycle for the last 6 to 8 years. And one of the things I tell the candidates is there's three things you need to know. Know what the job is, know who you are, and know your capabilities. Because if you don't know what the job is, it won't get done. If you don't know how to get there, you'll end up somewhere else. And if you don't know who you are, you'll certainly be someone else. And that's what we see that happens in the swamp. Too many candidates go up for a one-term lottery ticket, and they think that they're going to stay there forever, and then they change who they are. I see it, I'm offended by it, and so should you. So I'm pretty sturdy, like a stump. I don't get moved very easily. Thank you.
All righty, thank you for those answers. So, quickly, and to just raise your hands for this, are any of you a Democrat? Any of you an independent? All you a Republican? Raise your hand if you're a Republican. Everyone, all right. Everyone's a Republican. Great, great. Question for you, the GRA has been very involved in. So, what is your stance on the Republican Party not allowing people to qualify who have betrayed Republican principles, not allowing them to qualify as Republicans? Again, obviously, run as independent, Democrat, Libertarian, anything else. But there is a idea that the Republican Party should potentially not allow people who have betrayed Republican principles, like endorsing Democrats, raising taxes, things that seem pretty against the party, to qualify as Republicans. What's each of your stances on that?
Well, the Republican Party is a party, and it's political in nature. And political means the word of the people. And if the party themselves find that someone's at the party that wasn't invited, or came to the party and caused disturbance, then I believe the Republican Party has it within their control and authority to determine who represents them as Republicans publicly and in public office. So I think that the idea is, yes, if someone has the opportunity to run for office and then they spoil their image with you, you can vote. You can vote with your feet, you can relocate, or you can vote for someone else. But I think it's incumbent upon the party to present candidates who reflect the interests and philosophies of the Republican Party. And the GRA of the conservative Christian Republican Party, I believe that's kind of a cornerstone.
Yeah, I think, I think even if we were to do that, there's ways around that. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody, run as a Republican or a Democrat, they get in office, and then they, all of a sudden they're an independent, or they've changed to some other party. So that's something that we would need to be mindful of as well. And I would want to, like he was saying, that the Republican Party is a conservative party. And I'm not afraid of somebody that comes into the party and says they're a Republican and tries to run as a Republican, and they don't have the same core conservative values that I have, because they're going to be weeded out pretty quickly. Now, I will say this, as an elected official, as a Republican conservative party, I talked about earlier the stats on the Gen Z, and the independents and all those kind of things. I don't want to vote for somebody to be an elected official that's weak, that's not a strong core conservative, that doesn't follow the agenda that President Trump, as an example, has for us, that doesn't support the Constitution, that's not pro-life, that doesn't support guns for everybody, that wants guns, that doesn't support keeping men out of women's sports. If there's people like that running, we're going to weed them out pretty quickly.
If I'm going to run on a Republican ticket, I'm going to be pure core Republican. If I'm going to stand for that party, then I stand completely behind that party, no matter what. If I didn't believe in Republican values and core principles, then I should be on another ticket. Because we need to stand together with our core values regardless. So I will always be that Republican. If I put the R behind my name, all those values stand for me.
Freedom of association is enshrined in our Bill of Rights, and if the Republican Party doesn't want to associate with David Duke, I agree with them now.
If there's anything you remember about me, Christian Hurd, today, I want you to remember that I'm tired of weak Republicans. I want the Republican Party to be a big tent party, but we can't be so big tent that we're the open borders party for whoever wants to be under our ticket gets to run in our ticket. Nobody wants Hillary Clinton to run as a Republican, do they? Joe Biden, all right? I agree that these folks and weak Republicans, if they're not in line with our values, they should go elsewhere. The days of weak Republicans are over.
All right, so I think I'm going to take a slightly different take on this. All right, as Christians, we do not turn away somebody who has sin, right? We want to welcome them into the church. We want them to know and understand what it means. And I think when it comes to Republicans, we should be doing a lot of the same thing. There are people that don't consider themselves Republican, but they vote all the way on the line, and we need to talk to them. We need to get them to understand that. When I think it comes to somebody's voting record in the past, I think we have to look at how long ago that was. J.D. Vance is a fabulous example. He was a never-Trumper who is now a champion for our cause. So I think that's something that we have to consider.
Thank you, Jim. Definitely need to be able to vet people and look at their core values and look back at their history and outside of political realm, especially in today's time of technology. You can go back and look at anybody that has any kind of social media or publicity about them, you can go back and look at that stuff and tell what they stand for, whether they've ever been in politics or not. You know, I've had a Facebook page for probably 20 years, under Marty Brown and Marty Brown Outdoors, when I used to fish professionally. Everybody's welcome to go look me up and look at thousands of pictures, thousands of posts, and you'll see that I'm definitely a Republican. And like others have said, if you have somebody that doesn't represent the Republican values, they're going to get weeded out pretty quick, but there has been a lot of local GOPs talking about vetting people individually. You know, it needs to be done as a group. There's a lot of, well, we can do this or we can do that. But, you know, if it comes together and the party itself, like the state of the GRA, has a platform and something to follow or interview process, I'd be all for doing something like that.
Yeah, obviously freedom of association is enshrined in our First Amendment, and I think this is a theory that the majority of these candidates agree with, but there's only been one who's actually jumped into the fight, and that is Catoosa County. And Catoosa County a fantastic job of litigating that through the highest courts, and I think at the end they will be successful.
In my view, this may be slightly different than some as well, but it strikes to the heart of what I think is so critical if we're going to win the future. If we're going to reclaim the soul of America, it means we have to reclaim the souls of Americans. That's core to pure conservatism. And though, yes, any political party of any size and any jurisdiction can and may have the ability and the right to restrict or kick out or whatever thing are great. My opinion is there's a better way. There's a better way. And it comes from the heart of conservatism. We don't pursue authoritarian approaches. We are the people who are dedicated to principles, articulating those principles, winning over others to those principles in the arena of public debate and discourse. And I'm a little scared of an authoritarian approach being embraced in Republican circles. That is a contradiction at the core of true conservatism.
All right, well, thank you. Now, the next question is just going to go, that essentially is going to be about how you would evaluate legislation, what values you have to do that. I have 3 questions here that are summed up in that. I'll say, can you share your personal definition of what it means to be a Christian conservative and how it informs your values and policy decisions without referencing specific examples? What is the first thing you can and will do to move our country back to the core values established by our founders? And if elected, how would you evaluate legislation? So pretty much answer how you would be making your decision, what values it is based on. I think that covers those questions.
Yeah, those are great questions. And I would do it the way I've been doing it for almost 30 years serving in this community. That is, out of a biblical understanding. To me, pure conservatism is biblical conservatism. These ideas that our country is built on didn't come out of thin air. They came out of the teachings of Scripture, the Judeo-Christian roots. And so that's who I am, that's how I've lived, that's how we've led our church. You know, we've gone from 11 people to over 700 people in the course of our history as a church. And you cannot do that and be not conservative fiscally. You better be fiscally responsible. You better remember whose money it is and that you're not the owner of it, you're a steward of it. And we're about to put in a 5,000 square foot building behind our main building. And we've gone from these 11 people to $2.5 million budget, and we're about to have this new building put in debt-free. So what will I do is I'll pursue both social and fiscal. Let's start fiscally conservative understanding that we've got to attack this national debt. It's as imminent of a threat to our way of life and our existence as a nation as any foreign adversary. We have to go after that one day at a time, one action at a time, applying strictly conservative principles in every opportunity and every time that we can. That's it.
Thank you. I'm a born-again Christian. I've accepted the gift of salvation. And accepting that gift is what makes me different than a libertarian, because I'm a conservative. And a conservative is one who conserves those principles of Christianity. It's what gives us the morality to be a fighter for life, to recognize that life begins at conception. Now, when I look at what is the proper role of government, as a state legislator, I would tell you that the proper roles of government are creating infrastructure, building roads and infrastructure, public safety, and education. Education being that is in the Georgia Constitution. But from a federal perspective, I believe it's roads and infrastructure, I believe it's public safety, but I'm ready to abolish the Department of Education and get the federal government completely.
I kind of thought about this when he brought it up. This goes back to what I was talking about a while ago, television. Talking about focusing on one little thing, you gotta look at the big picture. As a Christian conservative, as an American, as a career first responder, I've been able to stand back and look at any situation. It doesn't matter whether it's birth of a newborn baby in somebody's house or in a car. I've done that. Or, trying to save somebody's life from a cardiac arrest or severe trauma. I go in and I have to sit back and look when as soon as I get dispatched to something, I'm sitting there looking, going, okay, what's the location? What time of day is it? What's the weather like? What's the traffic going to be like getting there? What are my resources to handle this situation when I get there? Being in government is no different. You have to sit and look at everything. If you get focused on that little shiny object I was talking about a while ago, bad things happen. At least in Congress and in politics, you got a redo or you got somebody else to say, hey, we need to do something different. I've spent 34 years, I had to make that decision or people die. So I don't have a problem making decisions and using the values to do it. Thank you.
All right, so directly to your question on how is it that you will look at legislation. To start with, it's going to be, is it legal, is it moral, is it ethical? After that, it's going to be, can we afford it? And I don't mean by raising the national debt, I mean with the revenues that we've already taken. And can we afford it by taking it from somewhere else where we are wasting it and be able to still keep a surplus? Because you guys are right, we have to pay down the national debt. It's one of the biggest threats. After that, not only can we afford it, it's going to be, should we afford it? I think that Christian is spot on when he talks about when we have lost this ability to have this nuclear family capability, right? We financially need to be able to have our children have one-parent households. We shouldn't have our expenses raised so much that we cannot raise. We need stay-at-home moms. And I mean, I understand that I work, but my daughter is a stay-at-home military wife, and I think that is the most amazing thing that she could possibly do. And we need to have a system where we can afford that and continue that if we're going to keep our values.
Like generations in my family before me, even going back to decades before the Civil War, I got my moral foundation from Rocky Base Baptist Church, and there's nothing I can do for the rest of my life to get rid of those moral foundations. That has led me in my decisions, it's led me in my jobs, led me in my personal life. And to getting back to the founding principles, I think it's clear, or it's important to make clear who the enemy is. The enemy, domestically, we know the people that are trying to destroy our country. It's the progressive movement. Outside of our country, it's the influence of communist China that hates you, hates what you stand for, and wants to destroy us. So, to get back to those principles, I think it's clear we make sure we all know where the battle lines are. And that's, we are the party of civilization. We're the party of Christian culture. And there's nobody other than the conservative movement that's going to be able to defend who we are and what made us great. So I know who the enemy is, and I'll never stop talking about who the enemy is.
I'm Mark Brown. By the grace of God, I had cancer straight off my vocal cords and had my throat ripped open for 13 hours. So every day that I'm here is by the grace of God, because I overcame cancer with this fight. We are all forgiven by the grace of God, by one person, God, Jesus, dying 2,000 years ago on the cross for all of us. So when I'm looking at legislation, the first thing that I'm going to do is pray over it. The second thing that I'm going to do is say, hey, Jesus, while we're talking, can you do me a favor? Can you walk over, talk to Thomas Jefferson, and ask him how I can get this back to the small agrarian republic that he wanted to see. reducing the size and scale and scope of the federal government each and every day. Thank you, Jesus, and thank you, Thomas Jefferson.
I too was like Colton. I gave my life to Christ when I was 11 years old. I was raised up in the Baptist church. Good conservative folks. Now, one thing that, as far as the legislation, I have, because of my federal experience, I had to go under those policies of the Stafford Act. And I looked at those policies and I found out where are the pieces that would benefit the folks or solve that problem. So if it's not solving a problem, and like Jenna said, if it cannot be funded, and we're not pulling away from the district or pulling away from other things, then we need to analyze it. We need to look at it. And is it going to benefit the people? Or is it just because somebody has a special project that they want to get done? So if it benefits the district, it benefits your voice, then we need to look at it. So I'm used to analyzing all of those as we go through. Thank you.
Hey, Eric Cunningham again, and I like exactly what you said. I mean, the first thing I would do if you're talking about being a Christian conservative is you got to pray about it, and I pray a lot, especially coming over here today, knowing that I'll be speaking in front of you all. That's just a foundation of who I am. God has been being taken out of our country. It's being taken out of our schools. I'm tired of it. We've got a president that's in office. You've seen him, people laying his hands on him in the Oval Office. I've never seen that happen before. Could Trump be a better Christian? Absolutely. But he's doing a lot more than what I've seen anybody else do. And so as a Christian who's strong in his faith, I'm going to look at things, I'm going to pray about things and how to handle things, and I'm going to have conviction in my faith. And that's just a small part. But one other quick thing, just as we talk about legislation, take a look at, Jesus talks about helping the children, the humble. Take a look at Laura Lee out of Florida and how she's worked with Tim Tebow to pass legislation to stop the exploitation of small children, young children, and that's how I would fit in as well. I would vote for that in a heartbeat. Thanks.
All right, so there are 3 questions. The first is to define what it means to be a conservative Christian. And first, I'll assure you I have a strong testimony in Jesus Christ, and I have had that conviction as a basis of my life since I was baptized at 8 years old. Now, how I look at my role, I kind of will give credit to Charlie Kirk. He was very good at analyzing things both on a spiritual and secular argument. When someone had no basis in religion, they were some atheist or whoever, he would swap over and argue on the secular. With my experience as an attorney, I do the same thing. I have foundations that are premised in Judeo-Christian values, biblical values, but I also firmly believe that the Constitution was inspired by God. And those rights that are granted to us were given to us by God and included in the Constitution because our founders were inspired by God. So knowing that the Constitution was inspired by God-fearing Christians, the Constitution itself, along with the philosophical belief system of Christianity, that's what's going to guide me. And I'll analyze all legislation that I both draft and vote on based upon the Constitution and Christian values.
All right, thank you. So I have a few quick, what I think are probably yes or no questions. So first, do you support counting only citizens in the census? If so, raise your hand.
Yes.
Only counting citizens. Only citizens. Anybody think we should count anybody other than citizens? All right. Well, thank you.
Let's count the public twice.
And more often. All right, next, would you vote to end insider trading by elected representatives and senators? If so, raise your hand. All right, I think that's everyone. Would you do the same for their staffs? Would you do the same for their staffs? All right. All right. And would you support the U.S. leaving the UN? If yes, raise your hand.
I'm excited.
All right, if no, right, that's okay. Well, let's, if no, raise your hand. All right, and all right. Well, let's hear the no and undecided.
The UN at times has its fingers on some very evil, nasty things. That being said, we have to go back to the drawing board. After the Second World War, that all of our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents fought, we built a state of peace. We are now finding that peace is threatened. And that doesn't just threaten folks in Ukraine and Israel and wherever it may be. It threatens each of us. And reality is, whether we care about national security or not, this is a national security election. I have had people from all over the world, all over the country, reaching out to me, looking at what this means for the future of our nation. And I'll tell you very quickly where I think our nation should go on the international affairs. We can never give up American leadership. Like many of the people up here, you name a war in the past 25 years, I've got a buddy that died there. My buddy was the first Marine killed in President Trump's second term. I understand that we cannot waste American lives and treasure. We do that by cooperating with our friends and destroying our enemies. So that's how I feel about it. I think the UN, we're back to the drawing board. Let's figure it out, make it a way that works, because we cannot abandon American leadership and we cannot start over.
Okay, so and I did get the pledge earlier today, and I told her that I wasn't sure if I could sign at this point because I don't fully know what that means for us. So in our National Defense Authorization Act, this is the National Defense, this is the document that feeds our National Defense Strategy and our National Military Strategy. It currently calls for the U.S. to be able to leverage our position with the UN to try to limit the position of BRICS. BRICS is another union, if you don't know, that currently has Brazil, Russia, China, and India. I was not behind that strategic guidance. I do not know what Trump and the defense world has decided. That is our goal right now, to leverage that and to use that to our capability. So until I understand that, I can't commit that I would say yes or no at this moment.
All right, thank you. Just hold on to the microphone for a second. You can sit down. I'm going to ask the next question. You just start in the middle so that you all get some diversity. I'm not saying the specific order. So I have 4 questions here that are they're on a divisive subject potentially. So just listen to the questions and then I'll try to put them into one. One is, will you take money from AIPAC? Another one says, have you taken any money from AIPAC? And if you did not, will you consider taking money from AIPAC? Another one says, are you Israel first or America first? And another says, are you a Zionist? So these are submitted by the audience. So the question is regarding, I guess, sort of America's relationship with Israel, what your positions are, and very specifically, have you or will you take money from AIPAC, and would you consider doing it? So I guess start and then we'll just alternate the mic.
Okay, so no, I have not taken any money from AIPAC. I have not taken any money from anybody. I think I'm one of the poorest candidates here. If they brought money in the bank account, I'm not going to complain, but I'm not looking for support, and I wouldn't feel tied to them whatsoever. When it comes to, am I a Zionist? No. And when it comes to the American-Israel relation, I think that it is important, and it goes back to our national security. Israel has been one of our longest-standing allies, and if we lose that relationship and that position, I believe it is detrimental to us. So I am America first, but I support the relationship because I believe it is important to us.
I get this question more than any other question during this campaign. I'll be clear to you that there's no circumstance in which I will ever put anybody above the interests of the United States. That doesn't mean American only. Okay? I know there's a lot of folks in here who might have a different opinion. And I'll tell you the exact same thing to voters in our district is the exact same thing I tell donors. Who here thinks Israel does exactly what we want whenever we want it? Not a single hand went up. Mine either. Who here thinks that we can make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon without the help of Israel? All right? I speak the language of Iran. I spent a year with the Iranians. I understand what they would do if they get their hands on a nuclear weapon. I know exactly what they do. In all of your hearts, you know exactly what they do as well. I don't agree with the Israeli government in every single issue, but I understand this is another one of those situations. We have to remain involved. Whether they're a good friend all the time or whether they're a bad friend sometimes, they are our partners to make sure they never get a nuclear weapon. And I want to make sure we keep that friendship going for as long as possible.
I trust President Trump's opinion on this issue. I support President Trump's opinion on this issue. I think there's a biblical basis. We are grafted into Israel, the territory. That's different than the Israeli government. America First is supporting Israel, making sure we can offload our counterterrorism challenges in the Middle East. I was deployed from May of November of 2024. I was on the air operations floor on October 1st when Iran was shooting missiles at Israel. The reason that Israel was protected on that moment was because the American military was there to ensure the safety of Israel. We have to do that. That doesn't mean every national interest of Israel fits into the America First idea. So I support Israel. We'll always have it back. I think President Trump's right on this issue. Thank you.
As far as APEC money, no. Let's just put it out there. No. I do believe that, yes, we need America first. And I'm with, doesn't necessarily mean America only, because I truly believe when good things are given to you, great things are expected. We're a great country, and we can actually help those others because that's expected for us. And we need to be the one that stands up and shows that democracy is the way, and that the way that we are doing things is the right way. So, and again, we'll support President Trump and Israel. That's where our Christianity is. So we need to make sure that we support them because, as Jenna said, they have always supported us.
This is mine to be short and easy. I'm not accepting any PAC money from anybody. To me, PACs are just lifting up and getting officials that they want elected. Folks like me that have to go door knocking, that are boots on the ground, working hard, trying to earn a vote, trying to earn those donations, are fighting against things like that. And of course, I'm America First. I want to put GA 14 first for a change as well, but I am America First, and yes, I do support Israel, but that doesn't mean I give blanket support for whatever government or leader is in Israel. So that's my stance. Thanks.
All right, I'll also start off with the first question. I've been involved in federal politics for years, so I know the people who run the PACs, I know the people that run AIPAC and many of the others. And I'll tell you, I've only received funding from individuals. I don't want any PAC money. I know them. I don't need that. This race, I don't think, would be swayed in the right direction if I were to do that, and it's against my principles. But the other two questions, I want to shed light on. There's a difference between the Jewish people and anti-Semitism, and then criticizing the Israeli government. And I will stand with the Jewish people. I will stand with Israel being a partner in the region, but I will also be critical of what they do. There's no blanket loyalty one way whatsoever. I have loyalty to the American people, I have loyalty to the U.S. Constitution, and I'm loyal to President Trump because he agrees with those things. Not because of his charisma, not because of his ability to polish a statement or the way he speaks in triplicate to nail down an issue. I stand with President Trump and the Constitution, the America First movement, because it agrees with what I already believe in.
Well, my position on Israel is very clear. I'm very pro-Israel with the caveat that several have said, and I think we all probably feel the same way. That doesn't mean a rubber stamp for anything the government does. It doesn't mean a blank check. It doesn't mean that we give them the thumbs up no matter what it is. But I don't agree with it. The slogan sounds really good, America First, America Only. No, America Only is not America First. We need critical key allies. Israel is at the top of that list in my mind for two reasons. Number one, it is biblical. And I know I can put my theologian hat on and we can get out our Bibles and have a discussion. I understand some people have a different view and interpretation biblically, but I believe that the covenant God made with Abraham, which extends prophetically to his descendants, in Genesis 12:3, that I will bless those that bless you and I'll curse those that curse you, applies. I believe there's been a blessing, partially, a blessing of God on our nation because we've stood with and stood for and defended the nation of Israel. I believe the modern nation of Israel has had God's hand on it. But the other reason is strategic. The way they help us is profound in response to how we help them. They are a critical ally going forward.
Father Abraham had many sons, and I am one of them. Now, when it comes to Israel, Israel has the full right to defend itself, and I wish them all the best in Samaria and Judea, and I believe God's hand will work over them. But here's the problem. We're broke in the United States of America. And I think it's very biblical. If we can't take care of our own house, how do we take care of someone else's house? And we've got to get our own affairs in order. I'm completely in favor of expanding the Abraham Accords, working diplomatically with Israel and their government. If it comes to sharing intelligence with them, that's okay. But I don't want to see boots on the ground or dollars spent. And I think Prime Minister Netanyahu has even said, I think he recognizes this push across politics in the United States, and he is even pushing Israel now to wean itself off of the United States financially.
As others have said, Israel is a critical ally to the United States. You know, they're a Jewish nation, they're over there. The biblical stance and all that, we can get into all that, as Pastor Grace would say. But they're the only nation over there amongst a bunch of Muslim nations in that region. So we need to have involvement over there. We need to support them as an ally. But we don't need to be sending millions of dollars over there for stuff that doesn't matter. We need to take care of America first. And as far as the money goes in AIPAC, when I first started this, one of the first questions somebody posed to me, like, will you take money from AIPAC? I kind of turned my head sideways on, what the heck is AIPAC? I had no idea. But, you know, I'm hoping as anybody up here, but from what I've seen, I definitely probably would not take any money from them. And we need to make sure we keep America's money here and take care of our people first.
All right, next, this is covering about 6 questions, but they're all the same subject. Generally, it's going to be, what would you support if you do not win? Would you support the GRA endorsed candidate, or if you end up losing, what also would be your future political plans? The question specifically that audience ever asked were, are you committed to working together and supporting one another to advance the endorsed candidates? If you lose this election, will you sign on to run for the state rep seat? Why or why not? If you lose, would you run for the open state senate seat? Another one says, we have too many candidates, we'll split the vote, open for Dems to win. How many of you are willing to give up your candidacy and rally behind one or the other to prevent that? Another question says, would you seek other seats if you are not elected? And then there are a couple other questions asking if you would support a specific candidate if you lost. So ultimately, that is the question. Who would you support if you end up not winning this election, and would you run for a different office? The state senate, state house seats, I don't even think you'd be eligible to run for due to qualifying time. So just please answer.
All right, that's pretty good questions there. Bundled all together, I think we've already established that most everybody sitting here on this panel are good, solid Republicans who want to do good for the country. A lot of us stand for the exact same values. Maybe we have a lot different background. Obviously, me, my background is totally different from everybody else. But when we get together and talk, you know, a lot of us have made friends, we've exchanged phone numbers. We're all doing this for the same reason. We want to make America better. So if I wind up not getting the votes to get elected in this thing, I'm definitely going to, you know, reach out no matter who it is here. And I'll put any support I can behind them, because we definitely sure don't need a Democrat up there.
Can you guys see me okay in the back if I stay seated? I am fortunate enough to be right in the middle here, so I'll save the transition time if that works. So yes, absolutely. I will support whoever it is that is elected through this. When we get to the point, I think we've all pretty much agreed that we are definitely going to get into a runoff in this situation. And I think whoever wins this needs the full weight of everybody behind them. I think that this is probably really uncommon for somebody to do, right? I will tell you that if I wasn't running at this point, or if I want to see another candidate win that is not me, that is going to be Clay Fuller, and I've already told him that, so I will be very honest about that. I think that he has a very strong background. I love what he has done in the military, and honestly, I say that, Christian, I love you, I just don't know you that well. I think it takes a very strong person to put service above family, to try to raise a family through that. You have to give a lot of yourself to that. I really admire that, so that is probably the sign that I will swap out if mine ever comes out of the ground.
So, I'll be candid. I have filed as a candidate for the special election, and I'll be filing as a candidate for the general primary in May as well. We will not know the results of the special election prior to the filing deadline for the general primary, but you can rest assured I'll be on both ballots. What Northwest Georgia does not need is an out-of-state progressive from Detroit holding this seat. That's Sean Harris, the state farmer from down in Polk County. My guarantee to each of you, and my guarantee to each of you candidates is I'll do all I can if I'm not elected in the special election to put one of these guys across the finish line. We cannot rest on this race. We cannot take the fact that we are a solid district for granted. Public Service Commission, I know 10 people back in Brookfield County voted for President Trump every single time, voted for the Democrats. In the special election back in November, or obviously the election. This is an election that if we do not wake up, if each of us does not vote for Republicans, they can win.
I trust President Trump, and if he's involved in this race, I'm going to support whoever President Trump supports. He's my guy, and I'm going to do everything I can to support that candidate. But I'm also like Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights, and not to dodge the question, I don't ever think about being in second place. I haven't given an ounce of thought of what I'm going to do. I'm going to just focus on winning this thing, because if you ain't first, you're last.
I too will be on the ballot come in May, but if by chance, because I've been running this since June, longer than any of these other candidates, so I'm in it to win it. And I actually retired to do this because I could not run due to the Hatch Act as a federal employee. So I'm all in 100%. Now, if by chance, and I mean chance, that I do not make the runoff in June, then I will support the candidate. We need a Republican in this seat, period. And we need, I will agree, you look at all of us, as it was mentioned, we're all good friends. We bump into each other all the time. And we need to make sure that we support each other regardless. So I would be considering it if I'm not in that runoff in June of definitely supporting that candidate.
And I'm sorry, there was a lot to unpack there. I think the original question was, would you support who the GRA endorses today?
Yes, if you do not win your race.
If you're in the
runoff.
And I can't answer that because I don't know who the GRA is going to endorse today. But I would support whoever is elected to serve, whoever the Republican candidate is that is voted and elected to represent us. That's who I'm going to support. I don't care who it is. And that person who wins on March the 10th or in the runoff, that person that wins, I will support them in the primary as well. But let me be clear, this isn't a marathon. We're just now starting a 50-yard dash, and I'm going to run hard and fast to that finish line as best I can. So thank you very much.
My response to all these questions, and there are a bunch, but if the voters vote based upon qualifications, ability, integrity, experience, and education, I think I said education twice, but I was in school forever. But with all those factors taken into account, I believe that I will win this race. And I won't reference Ricky Bobby, but if we get past the special election, I will also be on the primary in May as well. And if President Trump makes an endorsement, I will honor that endorsement. I've been actively seeking his endorsement. I've been back and forth to D.C. a few times. I've met with Speaker Johnson's team. I've met with the Trump White House political team, the NRCC, and the RNC. And they're watching my fundraising, so I'm going to use this chance to ask for more donations because that's what's going to get me that endorsement. And I believe that endorsement is meaningful because it represents someone who can do the job, who has the backing, know-how, and experience to do the job that's necessary to represent you with integrity and honor. I got that aside.
Hey everyone, if I don't win this election, my wife and I are going to go back to the plow and eat, drink, and be married. But I tell you what, I'm definitely going to be supporting whoever the Republican nominee is. I can guarantee you that because these Democrats, I mean, this guy claims to be a cattleman. He can't even define what a man and a woman is. Right? I mean, these people are on Looney Tune women. So I'll absolutely be supporting whoever the Republican nominee is.
Well, absolutely. I think that's great to see it pretty clearly unanimous that we would support the Republican winner of the special election in the runoff and whatever the races are ahead. That's absolutely 100%. And that's right. There's a lot of good people running in this race. But one of the questions among the seven, which it's impressive that people can answer 7 questions in 1 minute. But one of the questions was, well, what would you run for next? Who would you run next? And I do think that's one of the distinguishing traits that brings value to my campaign. So I'm not running for anything next. I'm not leaving a political position to run for this position. I don't have political ambitions at all. I'm not trying to grab a higher political rung in some pursuit that's personal. I'm a pastor of a church. I've been serving the community for almost 30 years, and this is an extension of that. I know that God has stirred this in my heart. I believe we will win this. We are in it to run and win. And if by God's grace that happens, we're going to serve with all of our heart, taking the heart of this district and giving it a voice in D.C. while serving this district with all of our heart.
Here's a quick yes, no, or you can say you don't know. I'll ask for yes, no, you don't know. What's your position? Are you in favor of the Article 5 Convention of States? If yes, raise your hand. Right. If no, raise your hand.
Talking specifically about the budget?
Just Article 5 Convention of States. A convention to call a constitutional convention to redo the Constitution. Are you in favor of that? Raise your hand high. So, if no, raise your hand. If you don't know, raise your hand. I don't know. All right. Just wanted to get that out there. The NFRA actually took a position that we don't we care about the outcomes, not necessarily the process. But somebody wanted to know that, didn't want to spend 10 minutes on getting details. All right, so here's a yes or no question. Do you think raising money for your campaign will be vital to winning? If yes, raise your hand.
Unfortunately.
If no, raise your hand. All right. Next, so we're I wish we had more time for tons more questions, but I'll just let you all know what we're going to. We're going to go to some election integrity, immigration, and then closing statements. I know there have been other questions. I apologize to the audience, but we do need to move on to the endorsement portion, and we got a bunch of questions on immigration and on election integrity. So regarding immigration, I guess one question, I'll read 2 questions here, and I'll try to summarize them for you. What specific ways do you intend to reform immigration laws, for example, dual citizen politicians? Another one is illegal immigration is a huge issue, but it seems that legal immigration is an even bigger issue. What are your legislative goals regarding reforming legal and migration laws? So overall, what do you plan to do regarding immigration? What is your position? What is your personal position on how you're going to do legislation to improve the immigration system?
Yeah. So there's obviously both sides. There's 2 sides, and it goes back to my days as a football player and football coach. I mean, you have to be good at offense and defense. You can't just be good at one. We've got to be great at defense. We cannot let people invade our nation. It's very simple. But we also have to be good at offense, and I know there's so much more than I am, well equipped at the moment to address very specifically. But it's simple in nature, and that is we've got to set up our immigration in a way that serves us, that serves our nation. And again, back to my football mindset, to a certain extent, and I know this is oversimplifying it, but to a certain extent, we ought to be drafting, like the NFL draft. We need people who are going to serve who we are, what our goals are, and the kind of future we are going to build. So I know there's a whole lot that needs to go into the revamping of the legal immigration process, with an emphasis on, a recommitment to an emphasis on assimilation. Who we are as a nation, making sure people are signing in and signing on to become that, and to actively pursue furthering that at the core of who we are.
Yeah, I'm in favor of freezing all immigration until we figure this thing out. We don't know how many illegals we have in this country. Is it 15 million? Is it 20 million? We really don't know. And ultimately, I'm against H-1B visas. And if you don't know what H-1B visas are, let me tell you a quick story. A great friend of mine I graduated from high school with. He paid his way through college to be an engineer. He shows up in Trenton, Georgia to be a quality control engineer. And there's an Indian there with a degree from India who's the chief engineer. He applies for the position, and they just take his application and they slide it off to the side. And even though this man is a local, and even though he's an American and paid his way through college, he wasn't able to be the engineer because this other man had an H-1B visa. That's not what the American dream is about. Ultimately, I want to give Tom Homan 4 times the amount of resources he has so he can get those numbers up and deportation. $2.5 million right now, and so we're only a tenth of the way there to 20 million.
I think we can all agree that our current administration under President Trump has done a fabulous job handling immigration and getting rid of the illegal aliens, getting rid of the criminals, number one. With that said, our workforce, we talk about America and President Trump bringing jobs back to America. We need people to fill these jobs. We need educated Americans to fill these jobs. So there's a lot that we need to work on because we got to look at the big picture. We're bringing these jobs back. We've got to have people, educated Americans, to fill them. Not only 4-year, 6-year degree people, we need manual laborers. We don't have that. We've got a lot of people that don't want to work, and we've got to change that. And we're getting rid of the illegal immigration and cleaning all that up. There are a few people that really did come here to try to better themselves. They live for the American dream. I actually know a few of them that came in, got their citizenship, and they've gotten married, they went to school, they've raised families, they can contribute to society, and they're great Americans now. But we definitely got to get rid of all the illegal, stop everything coming in, and the H-1B visas, and get regular hard-working Americans in there and get people in based on their credibility, not their nationality.
So I'm going to focus on the part of the question that asked about it being hard for changing and improving the legal or getting here legally, right? That problem. I think that we're all probably very much on the same page that the illegal immigration not only needs to be fixed, but that it's working on being fixed. It is going in the right direction. But we do have a problem with people being able to come here legally. We are an extremely interconnected world. We are going to have American citizens that love this country that go over to England, find somebody that they fall in love with and want to bring a spouse back with them. And I think we have to fix the legal immigration problem, or we're always going to continue to have an illegal immigration problem. If you guys do not have friends or family that have married somebody like that from a country like Europe, it can still take them 5 or 6 years to get here. And I think that we have to address that, especially for the sake of families and being able to keep parents and children together.
Placing American citizens first doesn't mean we can only protect our borders. It means we have to protect American culture. Because there are people, we've all said it multiple times, they hate you. They hate what you stand for. We've had weak Republicans and the Democrats, who are all weak, who have invited these people into our nation, and they are subverting everything we stand for. The time for weak Republicans is over. just like Colton said, I think we ought to cut the H-1Bs. There are hundreds of thousands of communist Chinese students in our universities. Who here thinks that's a good thing in our national security interest? Right? I want them gone. You know, I'm the candidate in this race who has called for a 5-year immigration moratorium so that our communities destroyed by globalism and globalization can recover and rebuild themselves again. That is destroying our nation. And these people here, I'm sorry, if you read the Chattanooga Times today, you're going to see there's no gray area in this for me. If you're here and you're not supposed to be, sorry about it. We'll see you later.
My first piece of legislation when I'm your U.S. representative will be called the Elon Omar Removal Act. For claiming that she's the representative of Hogan Chu. I want Elon Omar in jail. I want Tim Walz in jail. I want the mayor of Minneapolis in jail for stealing $8 billion. We have to end illegal immigration, have an honest conversation, say it's a crime, right? Get out of this country, give every resource we need to the federal government to get every one of them out of this country. We need to reduce the size of legal immigration because there has been no greater economic lie in this country over the last 30 to 40 years that Americans don't want to do hard jobs. That is a lie. It is ridiculous. Get the illegals out of here and reduce legal immigration as well. Thank you.
I think President Trump has done a great job of securing our borders. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. It's kind of like our boat was sinking because all the water was coming in. You saw the videos of people coming across the river, and we never stopped them. Or should I say, Biden never stopped them. At least we've stopped some of the bleeding, to use your paramedic. We've stopped some of the bleeding. Now it's time to fix it. We've got to get those folks out of here. I welcome anybody that wants to come into this country, adopt the American way, but do it legally. Do it the way that you're supposed to. You go to another country, I guarantee you they're not going to let you just cross over to their borders. We need to get so much stronger. And we need to say, come to America, we'd love to have you. Do it the right way, but adopt the American way.
Yeah, kind of like I said earlier, it should be a core conservative value, especially for someone running in Georgia's 14th district, that you should be completely against illegal immigration. We should close the borders. I agree completely with what some of y'all have said up here. We've got to stop it right now. We've got to close the doors, and then we've got to make some reforms to immigration and make sure people are coming in the right way. Because they're coming in, if you're coming in illegally, you're already breaking the law. You know, it's kind of like starting your marriage off in a lie. That's not going to end well. If you're coming in illegally, you're coming in as a criminal, and you need to be taken back to wherever it was you came from. And just to kind of expound on the H-1B visas, you know, we've got to make sure we're also, you know, not just stopping new applications, but we've got to quit, giving renewals on the ones that are already out there. So, American again, thank you very much.
This is an issue that I've been very active in the past few years. I took a group of candidates in the 2024 cycle down to the border to show them what's actually going on. I went into Mexico with a film crew and showed a documentary where the cartels were directing the Mexican National Guard to run the people into the river. I've seen it. I've been there on both sides of the island, both sides of the river. I saw them plant a Venezuelan flag on U.S. soil. But there's two halves of this issue. One is the illegal immigration, and we all agree that it needs to be fixed. But the beautiful thing is we don't need a lot of new laws. The laws have just been ignored. They haven't been funded. The Border Patrol, Homeland Security, ICE, we're seeing funding. So I will vote to fund the removal of all illegal aliens, their children, no exceptions for DACA. If you're here illegally and you're a child brought here, blame your parents. What's more American than that? Now, the second half of this is how do we manage legal immigration moving forward? And I've drafted a bill that prohibits any states from issuing IDs or driver's license to any foreign national. That relationship is only with the federal government and the State Department. We've seen CDLs granted in states that have corruption and we see it dangerous. People can't even read or write, speak English. So all CDLs will come to the Department of Transportation under Sean Duffy, and all IDs for non-citizens will be tracked by the Visa ID system through this U.S. State Department.
Good. All right, thank you. I did get one initial quick yes or no question. Well, it needs to be yes or no. Regarding PFAS contamination in Whitfield County. Given concerns about PFAS impacting health in Whitfield County, would you be in favor of federal investigation involvement in that? Yes, no, or you don't know? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Anybody?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, first no. Anybody no? Anybody you don't know? All right, go ahead.
When y'all leave this meeting, if you'll do me a favor, will you Google thyroid cancer rates in Northeast Georgia? I grew up in White County. That was the cancer that I had on active duty. Yes, I want investigation into why I was nearly killed, why I had thyroid cancer, why thyroid cancer is 3 to 4 times higher in White County, Lumpkin County, Habersham than the national average. I don't mean to be graphic, but again, I had my neck ripped open for 13 hours. They told me I may not be able to speak after the surgery because they were scraping cancer off my vocal cords. I want to know why I almost didn't have the chance to see my 2-year-old daughter at the time grow up and someday walk her down the aisle. I want answers, and I think the people of Northwest Georgia deserve answers on the same issue as well.
If anybody else wants to speak that real fast, go ahead.
So, I grew up in Whitfield County. I've lived there my entire life other than going to the University of Georgia and serving in the Marine Corps. Carpet industry put shoes on my feet and a roof over my head. My dad's worked in it his entire life. It's the backbone of my community. That being said, if any industry, carpet industry, whatever it may be, is shown to willfully go against whatever the regulations are for a type of chemical, and it's shown to hurt the citizens of our great country, they're going to have to pay the price. And they need to be held accountable. I studied ecology at the University of Georgia, done a lot of environmental research. A part of what the government is set up for is to keep us safe. From threats outside and threats inside. I'm telling you right now, the environmental degradation, the environmental dangers that we face is one of those threats that I think the government is going to have to force some people to make sure that we as American citizens are no longer harmed. And if you're in Dalton, we know multiple people who've had these cancer clusters Clay's talking about. It's not normal, it's not natural, we've got to figure it out.
The bill that was presented was relating to hard plastics and chemicals that sit latent in your body and lead to cancer. And I'm against any bill that removes accountability for the benefit of corporations at the expense of the individual. Your health, I'm all for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If your life's going to be cut short, your liberty's going to be tied down because you can't sue them in court, your First Amendment right and access to the court will be restricted because they'll have immunity from that. And your pursuit of happiness will certainly be impacted because you're dealing with the poisoning just for the benefit of stain-resistant carpet. And there are alternatives. They're just more expensive. So if we fund part of this domestic production, fund the alternatives, get rid of the toxic industries, and hold corporations accountable, if we don't do that, I don't know what else we're going to do.
Anyone else would like to ask the elimination? All right, if not, all right, next, and final question then. This deals with election integrity. So the 3 questions we received there: will you vote yes on the Save America Act bill? What will you do to enforce and enhance election integrity and promote paper ballots? And election integrity, what will you do to enforce and clarify guidelines and enforce them? So what is your view on the security of our elections, and what will you do to improve it, if anything?
All right, since I have the mic, I guess I'll start here. I've also been very active in the paper please movement. I'm against Dominion machines. I'm against any of the machines that have the same software that's originating from beyond our country and supposedly some of it from Venezuela. I firmly believe that we have had our elections stolen, and I've been active. I've represented voter GA and Garland Favorito. He's a good friend of mine. He and his wife Tamara, I've been active with them. I've drafted briefs in support of the voter integrity. I've been on the front line of it. I've even looked at all the alternatives and promoted this not only in the state of Georgia, but across the country. And some states are waking up and realizing how dangerous it is. Because if it can connect to the internet, a 15-year-old kid in Uganda can change the vote. It's been proven. It's been proven to the investigation committees, and we have no room for that additional fraud in our country. We need to have more people show up at the ballot box, and they're not going to show up if they think their vote doesn't count. We need to count it on paper.
So this is actually the issue that really got me passionate about, even being where I am here today, standing in front of you all. Back in the 2020 election, I had a ballot show up at my house addressed to somebody that does not live at my house. And I could have easily taken that ballot and filled it out and voted. Now, I don't know what they were up to when that was sent to me. I turned that into the Republican Party. I posted about it. I put it on Facebook who took my post down. But there was election fraud. Everybody agrees there was election fraud. And then, I was watching the candidates at that time speak. I saw Chris Christie, and he started talking about we need to move past, election integrity, election fraud, elections are stolen, all that kind of stuff. And I thought that's a bunch of crap, man. And I went to Paulding County, where I live. I went to a Paulding County Republican Party meeting, and they were the first people I could find that were still talking about election integrity and election fraud. And I've become passionate about making sure that we have paper ballots and making sure that there's election integrity in our voting systems. Thank you.
We need to get back to the way our old values. They're strong. Paper ballots, you can't manipulate them. So we need to get back to this. But it's the state's responsibility to make sure that Georgia ballots are correct. So, but yes, we do need to get paper ballots back because no other country in our data information stays on that paper ballot.
I was one of the attorneys in Trump's 2020 campaign. I was shocked by the affidavits that I was collecting across the state, hearing the stories of fraud in the 2020 election. It blew my mind that this could happen in America. And so the first thing that we have to do is ensure that we do have secure elections. Obviously, one of the most important principles of our country is federalism. So I see this as a state issue that Georgia has to fix. Any role that I have from the federal government, I'm always skeptical of the federal government getting involved. But if there's an oversight position that we have to make sure that it is fair in Georgia, I will be a part of that. One thing that I'll leave with each and every one of you as a state issue to focus on, I was an elected district attorney. The Secretary of State's office is the investigative body that goes into these fraud cases. It often takes them 3 or 4 years just to do an investigation. We would get a case file that we knew nothing about and barely have time to meet the statute of limitations. Please, as a state, as a legislature, please give more resources to the Secretary of State's office because we barely were able to prosecute people who committed fraud during the 2020 election in my office. We need more resources to make sure that we can investigate these cases and convict individuals because it happens each and every election. Thank you. Is there anybody in this room that thinks Joe Biden was a legitimately elected president in 2020? I sure don't. I don't think we'll ever know what the real election results were in 2020. And for the rest of Joe Biden's short life, he's going to realize that he was never a legitimate president. And that cloud will hang over him in the Democratic Party for a very long time. The Republican Party is the only party talking about making sure we've got a foundation for our nation. Because if you don't know when you go into the voting booth that you pay your taxes, that it's actually doing what it's supposed to do, like, why do we do it? Why do we vote? Why do we pay taxes? So the Republican Party is going to have to fix this crisis of confidence, because if we don't, we're not going to have a country. There is no election integrity measure that I won't support. I think the only people who shouldn't have to go to the polling booth themselves is the poor old folks in the nursing home. I think our poll workers should go visit them, get the polls, come back. If you don't vote in person, I don't think your vote should be counted. So we're going to have to move voter ID in person, multiple witnesses, because this is our time's closing, folks.
So I know that there's been a lot of talk about paper ballots. I'm going to up you one more. Not only do I want paper ballots, I want your ID. Right? I go to vote, and naturally the assumption is, let me prove who I am. I hand over my ID, and they say, oh no ma'am, I can't look at that. That is obscene. You should have to prove who you are on that ballot before you are allowed to cast it.
I think we can all agree that one of the founding principles of America is honesty and integrity. I know I live my life and all the decisions that I make are based on honesty and integrity. If you don't have that, you don't have nothing. We've got to get rid of the people cheating. We've got to get rid of these forward-built machines. We've got all the technology here in America. Paper ballots would be great. I'm sure there's somebody that could make an electronic system that couldn't be hacked if you could get it. But in the meantime, the going to a paper ballot, get rid of them deadline QR codes, because they can program and make them QR codes, say whatever they want to, no matter what that paper's got on it as far as votes go. So we need to get back to America and get back to win the people and of the people. That's why I'm up here, is for you. I've always been serving people, and that's what I want to do in Congress, is I want to take this fight up there and serve the people. And be, as an average American, blue-collar worker my whole life. I love the people. I'm one of you. You know, I worry about paying bills every day. I got to meet payroll. I worry about my health. And we need to get this stuff straightened out.
I've been in the election integrity fight from the very beginning. I was the very first elected official in Georgia before anybody over in the Senate as a state house rep to call for a special session to review the fraud in the 2020 election. It was very evident that there was fraud, but a legislator can pass as many laws as they want, and until those laws are enforced, no accountability is ever going to be made. We know that there's more than 300,000 ballots that didn't have the signature, the 3 signatures required by the letter of the law to be counted. Why haven't those people been prosecuted? You know, I heard Garland Favorito. I told Garland to go into the legislative council where the attorneys draft the bills, and I said, draft whatever you find necessary, Garland, because I find him to be the expert. Now, going to the federal government and Congress, I want to see one-day federal holiday elections. And I think it's important to 4th of July, vote, and shoot off fireworks.
Yeah, very good. Well, obviously, we don't have a republic if we don't have trustworthy, reliable elections and the election process. And primarily, I know it's a state issue. I believe in our state legislature, there's some things being discussed in advance. Hopefully, it will move us in the right direction, if not get us to a solid footing of solving some of the great problems and challenges. But yes, paper ballots are clear. And I'm no IT guy, but I think Jared said it, and I've heard from people who live in this world, and if it's a machine, it can get hacked. So there are some very basic, simple things. We have other states that have maybe been a step ahead of us to learn from in the state of Georgia. But again, running for Congress on the federal level, you know, I know we need to go back to the 1993, what they call the Motor Voter Act, and look at it. It's opened the door to levels of fraud and other things that we just need to take a look at and see what's going on there. So I want to support, as the congressman from this district, I want to support our state process, our state legislators, our local leaders, because this is critical to our life as Americans, as a country. So, and then do whatever we can on the federal level as well.
Thank you. All right, now it's time for closing statements. I'd just like to thank all of you for being here today, for all you've done, and for staying on time. You guys have been really well at that. Please, if you don't like to continue to do that, whichever one of you wins, keep on time when you come speak. Closing statements, 2 minutes each. Please begin. Thank you all.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and I am proud to be the only one to get a verbal boo tonight. That's today, so I appreciate that very much. So look, I've said that my campaign and the very reason for running, to want to serve, to want to represent this district, is an extension of the life I've been living for 30 years in this district as a pastor, serving the needs of families and the community, building a stronger culture and community everywhere I possibly can. Well, that's the case. And as my wife and I talk about this, there's so much I look forward to doing in Washington, many priorities to pursue with all my heart. But as much as anything, we look forward to serving this district. And when my wife and I were talking about this, of course, I'm not a politician. We haven't run some big campaign like this before. We said, well, what should we do for our motto? And my wife's idea was, well, the motto should be, if Chick-fil-A was a congressman. And so, said, you know what, maybe we should just go with that. We want supreme customer service, constituent services that are second to none, collaborative problem solving across this vast and glorious district, from whatever the needs are, from transportation to infrastructure to each little micro region around this district. I can't wait to be the strong congressman to serve here and to serve well. From Lookout Mountain to Lost Mountain. From Ringgold to Rockmore to Rome. I want to be the guy who's engaged, who will do what I've been doing the last 30 plus years, being that Christian, conservative, servant leader for the people of Northwest Georgia. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running for Congress because I don't want our next congressman or woman to blend in with the curtains. I want them to recognize the threat that's on the horizon when it comes to globalism and the evil left. You see, our families have been here for generations, and I want the next generations to understand what God-given rights are. I want our congressmen to understand that these God-given rights and the government's responsibility is to protect them. That's all the government's responsibility is, and to provide an economy with infrastructure and to provide public safety. Anything outside of that is not the government's proper responsibility. I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for your influence. I'm asking for your vote. And I'm telling you that the big corporate PACs, they're not funding me. The international lobby, they're not funding me. I am supported by more than 2,400 unique voters across the United States that recognize that Northwest Georgia is one of the most conservative places in the entire country, and we have an opportunity to send someone there who's willing to risk it all for our freedoms. You see, I look back at those people who, and I thank our veterans here, that stormed the beaches at Normandy and were losing their brothers and sisters right next to them. We as politicians, all we have to do is run our mouths. And if your price is not your life, then you are for sale. And I look back to one of the greatest congressmen that ever represent Northwest Georgia in the 14th District, and that was Congressman Larry McDonald, who was ready to give it all in the fight for freedom. Folks, I ask for your vote. I ask for your influence. The election is March 10th.
I think everybody can tell right now, we've got a great panel of candidates up here. A lot of Americans, good Republicans. We're all in it for the same reason. We all need leaders. I'm a leader. I hope to be the leader that this team gets behind after the election. I'd love to have your vote today. As you've already heard, I've been serving in Northwest Georgia for the last 34 years in emergency services. I'm a servant. I'm a leader. I've led crews of young men that I've been in the fire service longer than they've been alive. I've led them through all kinds of different situations. And I know how to serve people. There's a term you can welcome to Google or look it up if you don't already know. Look up servant leadership. That is a leader that works for the people, by the people, and don't care if they get recognition for it. You're part of a team. Right now, yeah, I'm running against all these great Republicans up here for this election, trying to win everybody's vote. But we've got to serve, and we've got to serve the people, and we've got to have good leaders in Washington to do what we need to get done. So keep an eye out, look me up on the internet, brownforga.com, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
So I told you at the beginning of this that my passion is the budget and it is deregulation. Marty's right, there's some really good people running in this race. I think Tom would probably bring a sense of Christian conservatism to Congress that we haven't seen. I like Clayton because I understand what it would mean to have a JAG officer in Congress. But right now, our budget is our biggest threat. I can tell you that we spent $890 billion in interest alone last year. That was $5,000 to every single one of you. I can tell you that the amount of money your taxes paid for ACA subsidies could have reduced your Medicare in half, right? The only way to fix it is the budget, and the only way to do that is deregulation. So if the budget is your concern, if deregulation is your concern, if you want to fix it, then right now, in this race, I am your candidate.
I believe that America is unique in what we stand for and what we've done. I firmly believe in American exceptionalism. And I think that right now we are in the middle of the decision of if we're going to continue American decline or if we're going to turn this ship around. I'm thankful for a president that for the first time in a while, I've had the confidence our country's on the right track. But this is just the beginning. I love our nation. I have the backbone to make sure the Republican agenda, the good parts of it, gets through Congress. I have the vision to make sure our country stays safe. I appreciate all these candidates that are giving of their time and of their wallets to do this. I think this is a good thing for our nation. I hate the fact that we don't have any representation right now in Congress. That's not good for you, that's not good for anybody. This is a disaster for our country, but it gives us the opportunity to make the decision to speak loudly on behalf of our region to the rest of the country about where we're going to go. My name is Christian Hurd, and it's been an honor to be invited. Ms. Joanna invited me here to speak with you all this morning, and I enjoyed my time here. I look forward to meeting with you all afterwards. I want you to understand my principles. I'm going to put you first every day, as I've done my entire life. And I'm going to aggressively make sure American leadership around the world keeps you safe. I love our country, and we're very close to losing it, friends. So, let's vote right, and I look forward to meeting you on the trail.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we don't take a stand right now in Georgia 14, we're going to lose this country to socialism, Marxism, and all the evils of the world. We have to take a stand right here, send a fighter for Northwest Georgia to Capitol Hill to have President Trump's back each and every day, because this country was saved in November of 2024 and in January of 2025. He took office just about a year ago. He needs fighters on Capitol Hill to make sure that agenda is moving forward, because we need to take a stand here, because our way of life here in rural North Georgia is going to disappear. If you are looking for a candidate who has the faith to carry that fight to Washington, D.C., I'm that guy. If you're looking for a candidate who has been a veteran, who has raised their hand for this community, to fight this community as a prosecutor, putting criminals behind bars, please, Charles Stoker, I'm not even number one in Charles Stoker's heart, but you asked him about how tough I am in the courtroom. He was on one of my juries, and he convicted in less than 20 minutes after my closing argument. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You need that fighter in Washington, D.C. The last thing, America first. You want the border secure. I know the cost. I've seen the fentanyl overdoses each and every day. We need that border secure. We need to get the illegal immigrants out of here. We need to fight for our way of life, because that young man that's sitting in about the 5th row, that's why I'm doing this. I want a young man to be able to grow up. It's amazing that he is here at this meeting. I want him to be able to raise a family on one paycheck in this community where his ancestors are buried, I'm assuming that. I'm a 9th generation North Georgian. I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. to fight for each and every one of you every day. So I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for your vote. And like Charles Stoker, if you've got a number one, I wouldn't mind being number 2. Thank you.
As a federal employee, I took the oath. I took the oath to defend the Constitution. And I did that, and I'm still doing that, and I know all of you want us to do that. We need to get the federal regulations out of our small businesses so that you can flourish. The federal government is designed to protect and serve and do the Constitution, not get in your way. So that our small towns can build up our trade schools to where those folks with those wonderful skills can do those jobs. Because let's face it, AI is not going to fix your plumbing. It's not going to fix your HVAC. We need those workers because folks cannot find the workers. We need to employ our Georgia folks in those positions. We don't need immigrants to take those. We need our Georgia folks in those positions working so that the tax dollars are spent on the right things and it's oversaw. We need to make sure that the money we're spending, it's audited. There is no reason why that money in Minnesota went on for so long. We need to pay attention, and that oversight is what we're here for. So I've been in this race. I care about this district, and I'm here to be, as God gave us, 2 ears, 1 mouth. So I'm listening to you, and I'm going to give you my little tagline. Black is the new green.
She talking about coal and oil? All right, thank you, folks. My name is Eric Cunningham, and I keep repeating my name because I have very little name recognition and even less money. So I do to try to get my name out there as much as possible. I am so passionate about this. I don't even know where to start. I'm like sit there thinking, a million things going through my head of what I want to say. And what I want to first say is, if you just consider voting for Eric Cunningham for Congress to be your next representative, we're all up here. I think everybody agrees that you should not be in this race unless you don't have those strong core values that a conservative has. If you don't have those values, if you're not going to go to Washington, D.C. and fight the socialists and do everything you can for this 14th district, you should be in this race. But you also got to look at what else does the person bring to this race. And what I want to bring to the race is I want to serve the 14th district with pride, passion, dignity. I want to do everything I can to win your vote and to represent you well. And just like in my campaign, I'm going to have to go out. I'm going to be going door to door, knocking on doors, sitting down with people. I sat with a family for an hour and a half, and they sent me a $50 donation, and I was so thankful and happy to get that. That's the things that we need to do. If you've got somebody like me that's willing to go out there and spend that kind of time, then that's the person you can count on when they go to Washington, D.C. I ask you for my vote. One other thing I want to touch on real quick is one of the things that I value is our veterans. Mr. Moore mentioned Storm Normandy. My wife's grandfather who lived his life in Chattanooga, Storm Normandy. Her father, my father-in-law, lives in the Community Living Center in Allen York in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to fight for our veterans to get them better help in those living centers and medical centers. I've been out meeting with various medical centers to try to understand what they need. They need more people. We have one medical center for VAs here in this district, and it's in Rome. No other ones. Why is that? We need to help our veterans. The other thing we need to do is we're the Gen Zs. I look around this audience, and I'm sorry, everybody's over like me. We need to focus on those Gen Zs, and we need to win them over before the socialists do. Vote Eric Cunningham. Donate. Thank you.
I'll repeat my name again, just because it's the thing to do. I'm Jared Craig. I'm asking for your vote. And I'm asking for your vote on the concept of qualifications. And I ask for you to look at what you want in a representative. And I think I've been pretty clear about our belief system. We share a lot of the same beliefs. But speaking in generalities and platitudes and what you believe in and opinions about things, that doesn't get you to the finish line. If you don't know how to get there, and I do, you're going to end up having a hope and a dream, and you're going to be on the path into a cul-de-sac somewhere. You're going to get tripped up, you're going to be hit with a bill, and it'll be amended by the opposition. Your bill will get killed, and all of your hopes and dreams will fall out the wayside. Now, when Trump ran for office the first time, he ran on Make America Great Again as a campaign promise. We jumped on, we bootstrapped up, we got our machine on the ground, we went door to door, county by county, and some of us state by state. He got elected in 16, or for the 16 cycle, and he was stymied. He was stopped at every angle. This second term, it was another campaign promise, but now he is in office. It's a mandate. And the question is, how are you going to make America great again? What am I going to do to make America great again? And I've shown that I have some bills that enriches the America First movement. And with that being said, not to defame other candidates, but if someone is unqualified, they can be dangerous because you have hopes and dreams, and you can be led by your nose by the incentivized carrots in Washington down a path you didn't intend. You can get into a lot of traps. I'm in D.C. quite a bit. I know the people in D.C. I know the pitfalls. I know their games. I've battle tested. I've been time tested as loyal to the American people, loyal to the Constitution. And I'm also loyal to what I can do to make America great again. And it's to fight immigration, bolster our economy, make Georgia 14 and the rest of the country profitable. So we have the power that we are entitled to, and we have the constitutional republic that God promised. So thank you. I ask for your vote. My website is Jared, Jared, the number 4, Congress.com. I ask for your vote today. I ask for your vote on March 10th, and also on the primary in May. Thank you very much.
All right, well, that ends the candidate portion. So everyone, please give all the candidates a round of applause.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. I've been keeping the time for all these candidates. I'd like to ask all of you to give them a huge round of applause here. I've been keeping time at a lot of events. Very rarely do I have everybody on time, virtually every single statement. And nobody was playing that game, and they see the call, and the time was up, and the time they didn't see it. They were very considerate of everybody's time here. That's a big deal. Thanks, guys.
All right, well, thank you all. We're going to take just going to be about a 2-minute break as we get set up for the rest of the convention. So just stand at ease for 2 minutes. As soon as I take back a chair.
So that is the end of the live stream. We're going to go into the business portion of this forum. I thought that was a really good forum. A lot of good candidates up there. I mean, and that's only half of the people that qualified. So I guess, but it was good. And that's it. See you guys later. Bye.